Travis Wayne Goodsell. I was going over the news because I remembered seeing the modified version of Holiday Lights goes up in Temple Square. Here on ABC4 News Utah on the YouTube channel, and came across several videos talking about how having to wear a mask is causing problems. We have a man kicked off flight in Salt Lake City for mask non-compliance. Then there's a tire one where a woman who went to a tire store in Murray City was paying for the tires, and the receptionist was coughing, not wearing a mask. So she even offered to get one of her extras that she carries around with her, and the receptionist told her off, and then she got a phone message by the manager telling her she's banned from using their services, all because she made the receptionist feel bad. And then we have some other stories about small businesses struggling, and airport struggling. It's hurting the economy, not having people flying. And alcohol sales are doing great. They're quadruple the amount from previous years. Who would have known Mormons here in Utah are drunkards? And then we have the Salvation Army and other places donating other than the church, who are overwhelmed, and the hospitals are overwhelmed. Where did I see that one? Maybe it's behind the camera screen. But, oh, there it is. Ogden Clinic, overwhelmed and running low on supplies. And now they're doing tips for helping the elderly. I think the elderly are all dead here in Utah. They erased, and they keep erasing throughout this whole time, those seniors who have been positive for coronavirus. They make no sense. I tried to communicate through the online helpline that sends you a text message to answer your question, and they wouldn't answer it. So, yeah. But the main point that I'm wanting to get across is that we've all seen the movie. We've all seen the TV shows of an outbreak. What is the one thing that happens in each and every single episode? The hazmat team come to the source of the outbreak. Yet Utah, we're all set and prepared, and then failed to do it. Said, nope, we're going to have people go to be tested rather than we go to the people. Didn't shut down Utah. And if they had done from the beginning with that first case from that cruise liner, which was brought up but didn't mention the Utah case on Trevor Noah's show, they did a little coronavirus recap for Trump. You know things are bad when a comedy show doesn't have to tell jokes, but just tells the news. That's all it was. It was just news stories. The guy didn't have to throw in any kind of tongue-in-cheek comment. He just presented the news as Trump gave it to us. I mean, that's horrifying. Trump is just one big joke. And that's the news. And so literally you have news channels when they talk about Trump's latest adventure. It's a comedy show. But anyway, I mean, it's not a debate over whether or not we wear a mask. Because none of these businesses are supposed to be open. Airport's supposed to be closed. The tire place, closed. You don't need your car right now. You're staying at home, staying safe. The doctors are supposed to come to you. No bank. You're not getting paid. So you don't need your bank open. You don't need the grocery stores open because the governor, under this national emergency, will make sure every household gets food supply for free. This is how it's supposed to be done. This is how it's done for fires, for hurricanes, tornadoes, for power outages, for major windstorms, except here in Utah when we had one the day before Nelson's birthday. But everywhere else in the nation, those people who are affected get taken care of for free. They don't bill them. And then insurance companies step in and then refuse to pay the full amount to replace things. We know how to do this. And I keep telling you guys over and over again, and nobody listens because YouTube purposely throttles my channel with their analytical program. And I've caught them. Somebody else stole one of my videos. And it's my voice. He doesn't make any comments. He just posted my video on his channel, and I found out about it. I'm okay with it. When I do a video, it's in the public domain. It would have been proper and appropriate for him to acknowledge who's giving the video. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, there were some comments of people who thought it was his voice. And that's why you need to make sure you give credit where credit is due, so people don't get confused. But nonetheless, his video, which was done in July, is over 4,400 views. And as you can see, if you look at my channel's videos, you'll see a random scattering that finally makes it to 100. As you scroll down. Oh, there's one. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Oh, almost. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Oh, there's one. And the further down you go, the more likely you'll find 100. But yeah, that's YouTube's analytics that have personally programmed their system to prevent my videos from reaching the maximum number of people that they are allowing for him. He's not monetizing. He's not part of the partner program, which is also an interesting thing, because Nelson's video that he gave on the 20th, over 12 million. The church already invests in Google and thus in YouTube. And yet, the church, part of the partner program. Thus, 12 million? Yeah, they're going to break in some cash from YouTube. Conflict of interest? Financial scam? Financial crime? Yes. But who's going to hold them accountable? Judge Tina Campbell? Who's going to hold them accountable? And so the economy is not supposed to be our concern during a viral pandemic crisis. If we had done what we were supposed to have done in the beginning, everything would be fine now. We might have to keep our borders closed for Utah because Trump, he would have done his thing anyway. But Governor Herbert would have been under pressure from Trump. Now, Governor Herbert, we're trying to do herd immunity. I'm not going to give you funding unless you open up your borders for business. And of course, the businesses want money. The church wants money. They're a business. And so businesses are putting pressure on Herbert as well, as he obviously caves. Nobody holds businesses accountable. Nobody holds the church accountable. And as a result, we now have the outbreak that we do. And we're going to have one by the end of this week because of Thanksgiving, because of shopping, because of church. It's a trilogy of terror. And that's how long it takes to see the results. We'll see the Thanksgiving results by Tuesday. And we've already seen it by the end of last week. By Thanksgiving even, we saw it. 26%. Which means that people came to Utah. People went to families' homes to stay for the week. That's typically what happens here in Utah, from what I understand. I came up with the Fenstermachers to Salt Lake City as they came to their grandparents, as my parents didn't want me, and made arrangements to go with the Fenstermachers. They've done it before. They've sent me up for the summer to the Bowen, our cousins, the Bowens farm, and I stayed up there at least a month just to get rid of me for the summertime. But yeah, and they wonder why I don't want to associate with them or ever speak with them again. Masks don't cure coronavirus. And so the debate shouldn't be as to whether or not masks help or not. I mean, clearly they don't. But there's still a lot of people who are refusing to wear masks and who are sick. The latest couple of weeks, as I'm forced to take the bus, there's been a new guy, the latest new guy, driving the bus, and both occasions he's had his cough. I can only assume, therefore, that he had the virus, had tested positive, and now is recovered and is still experiencing the after effects. But who knows? I would assume they have to get tested, but hearing one of the supervisors talking to one of the bus drivers one day, it almost sounded like they have to be responsible for testing themselves. But I've seen the Utah Transit Authority just get gutted. I mean, they cut them in half at the beginning of the shutdown, but they've kept the same schedule this whole time, and they've just been gutted, as we now have brand new guys who are doing their thing. And so yeah, a lot of the regulars, Mary just finally knew my name, and I haven't seen her since. And other guys who were regulars, who at the beginning were concerned and blocking off the front things so that everybody went in the back and didn't pay because they were too paranoid of getting the virus. They don't even work there anymore. And so to have Nelson just outright failed to do his job as president of the church. He's in the office of Moses. It's in section 124, Mormons. Presidents of the church are in the office of Moses, and that they are prophets, seers, revelators, and translators. And so in that position, what is your handbook? I think it was Vaughn J. Featherstone, can't remember, but one of the 70 talked about how there is no handbook of instructions for members of the 70 or above. And yet there is. It's called the Scriptures. And for the office of Moses, it's a no-brainer. Anything that talks about Moses is your handbook. As well as anything about Jesus is your handbook. As you're supposed to be running the church as he would have it run. And so you'd think it would be a good idea to know how Jesus would want his church run by first studying the Scriptures. You know, reading, pondering, and praying, and then Jesus will be the revelation as to whether you're doing it right or not. And then you'll find out if it's really from Jesus by the fruits. You know, that whole Mormon doctrine thing on faith, as found in Alma 32, starting in verse 28. But with a coronavirus, you know, wow, that I'm sure that's never happened in Scriptures, that a virus went through some old world country like Egypt during the time of Moses, that resulted in the Exodus. And so what would Moses do during a viral outbreak? Well, Nelson would be able to know. And the mere fact that he isn't even bothering to follow the example of Moses, let alone Jesus, who was a healer and gave commandments to care for the sick and the afflicted. And yet he wants the church open so that he can continue to increase his trillions of dollars rather than spend them on this flooding day. It's not a rainy day at all, it's a flood. And yeah, Mormons don't like it when I speak ill of the brethren. They don't like it when I condemn the church and condemn them for their hatred. I mean, this is murder. This goes beyond hatred. When you care more about the economy and trying to figure out how do we keep it going while people are dying, you're a mass murderer. Governor Herbert, Spencer Cox, Russell M. Nelson, murderers. All of the apostles, all murderers. I mean, Herbert's own daughter gets sick, and he still doesn't shut us down again. And even when he did shut us down, it was only a liquor store. It was places that sold liquor, the restaurants and bars. What used to be the Zion Curtain before they finally took it down. And then they allowed other people to self-proclaim themselves as necessary. We still have that who shows up in the office. He's not necessary. He's putting us at risk. They even put signs up saying that everybody is banned from coming to this place unless you are an essential worker. And yet he's still coming. He'll probably resume tomorrow. I mean, this is just pathetic. Because it's going to get so bad that Herbert will, before he leaves, be forced to shut down Utah again. But he's not going to bother to take care of us with essential provisions, basic needs, food, sanitation, other necessities, hygiene. He won't shut down the grocery store, thus won't shut down the banks. And so I mean, you can't pick and choose what businesses stay open. Everything must close. So nobody is making money. Oh, but they'll have to close their... Oh, yeah, they're already closed. Yeah. And once we get a handle on the virus, they can reopen. But getting a handle means gone. Or the final people are identified and quarantined so that they aren't free roaming the streets like Herbert has over 50,000. See, the masks aren't working because we're still at the same level. We even rose 1% again from last week, or from the previous week's reporting, because this last week's numbers were back up to 24. And if you hear the national news being told by Utah that we're instead at 23.8%, you'll know that they're lying to you. It's 24.1. You have to include the 2 percentages for the Thanksgiving Day that was not reported until the next day. And so I don't think Mormons get it, that when I'm condemning the response to this coronavirus, it's because I want to save your life. Whereas Herbert and Nelson don't care to save your life. They are putting you at risk and murdering you. And here I am. I'm nobody to you. And YouTube makes sure that I'm a nobody to you. And yet the few that do find this video, I mean, beyond the 2 Russians who are still monitoring, it's just unbelievable. I mean, do you guys not understand that you've been brainwashed to the point where you're dying or being used to murder other people? That's Manchurian level candidate brainwashing. Manchurian candidate level brainwashing. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they can make you squawk like a chicken, like those hypnotist shows. I mean, you guys just aren't the same when it comes to certain topics where you've been brainwashed, such as religion. All of a sudden, you're a different person. It's like a switch goes off or on, whatever you want to call it. And you're talking in a different language. You're getting more upset when you're threatened. When you're not the one being threatened, it's the church. Nelson. He's the focus of my anger. It's not Mormons. You guys are the ones who are being brainwashed by him. He's the one not following the scriptures, as he orders you to follow the scriptures and to follow him at the same time. That was the one thing I had been contemplating as a child. You know, when leaders of the church are in contradiction to scripture, who's supposed to take precedence? And of course, Mormons believe, well, they are always in harmony, whether you see it or not. Sometimes you just have to have faith and wait, and eventually it'll be shown to be the same. No. This is a life and death situation. So I'm frustrated with reservation system at ski something. Seriously, you're trying to go skiing? At ski season, as sea season, as seashells by the seashore, as ski season begins at Park City Mountain Resort. Dear God, shut it down. But we'll lose money. People will be unemployed. Yes, shut it all down so that it's no big deal. But make sure everyone's taken care of. It's not complicated. But Herbert won't do it. Cox, he was put on the task force, so we know he's not going to do it either. You know, there's no guarantee of a vaccine. And at the rate we're going, all Utah will be dead by the time a vaccine is available to anybody here. So what good is a vaccine if we're not going to stay safe? You know, if they have to have church because you don't know how to listen to the Spirit, you can do it online. You don't need to go to a church to mingle with other people and spread the virus that you got from shopping or from Thanksgiving dinner with the extended family. I mean, yes, part of the basic essentials will be providing internet systems and computers for everybody. That's a basic necessity, is communication. So just like phones are free for limited use, I remember when the landline used to be free. It's no longer free anymore. We finally got it to be free, and then they took it away. And then TV used to be free. Then they took that away from us. Simpsons did a parody on that, making mention that TV used to be free. Shut it down. I know you want your life back, but it's too late to have your life back. We were told in the beginning, expect that you will never have your life back. And now the news is all saying, oh, you gotta wear masks so that we can keep our life going. They're brainwashing us too. We can't trust anybody anymore. And when you can't trust anybody, you don't say, oh, it doesn't exist, I'm just going to go and do my own thing. No. You hunker down in a bunker. Like the survivalists, who are probably the only smart people now, as long as they're not out in the streets shooting unarmed black men, like the cops are doing. I'm sure nobody's listening by this point, so I'm just wasting my breath trying to get it out of my system. I mean, dear God, how can you guys be so blind to allow yourself to be murdered and your loved ones to be murdered because you're trusting the wrong people? Yes, they betrayed you. Yes, Nelson is not from God. He's not listening to God. Oh, he says he got revelation from heaven to give his 20th little... But we know it by its fruits. But somehow 12 million don't. Wake up, guys. Don't die. I remember doing the videos in the beginning, come with me if you want to live, from Terminator. Nobody appreciates my symbolism. And I'm concerned that I'm not hearing back from regulars who used to be regular. I try to respond, communicate, and I'm not hearing back. They're just dying. I remember one from the beginning. She made the comment that her daughter had been in contact with someone who tested positive. And there was still confusion about the difference between quarantine and isolation. And I tried to explain to her, your daughter needs to be isolated because she was in the presence of somebody who she found out tested positive. That person testing positive is supposed to be quarantined until they no longer spread it, which means they test negative, and they have to do it several times to make sure. And isolation is just for a couple of weeks, just to ensure that you don't come down with the symptoms. And that's the period where, if you are positive, you don't go out and infect others. At which point, the doctors are supposed to come to you, because you're supposed to call them and say, hey, I found out I was in the presence of somebody who tested positive. I'm staying at home, isolating. Can you please send somebody over to test me? And they would come over in their hazmat suit. They would test you. And hopefully you're negative, but they'd have to keep testing you negative for a few times before you can. But now the news isn't even getting that correct anymore. Now I can understand if businesses are extorting the doctors, saying we need to keep the economy. Economy is more important than human life. But the doctors should be quitting. Literally. And when you don't have doctors who are now all telling the public, yeah, your governor tried to extort me. I refuse to be extorted. For your safety, I quit. Yeah, the governor would make a quick change, as he is receiving a lot of hate mail. But nope, instead we're seeing doctors cave, thinking that they're doing the greater good by only dealing with those who test positive and come to their hospitals. And then Nelson and everybody is calling it the new normal. That's brainwashing success. Mission accomplished. We have succeeded in brainwashing the public. So, alrighty.